Here we have two HP ProLiant DL385 G7 servers. One of the servers is configured with Samsung solid-state disk. The second server is configured with actually hard disk drives. They're both configured with 256 gigs of Samsung DDR3 memory, okay? And they're both running VMware ESXi 4.1. In this particular demo, we've actually pulled out two different virtual machine consoles. One console is running on the solid-state disk from Samsung. The second one is running on the hard disk system here. The actual script that the virtual machines are running are actually a SQL.io stress test that actually stresses the disk itself. It's not testing the CPU nor the memory. So the performance monitor is demonstrating the IOs that are coming across per second. So the disk reads that are coming across from the blue are actually a representation of the virtual machine that's running on the ProLiant DL385 G7 with the hard drives. The green bar that you see here to the right is actually a representation of the virtual machine that's running on the Samsung solid-state disk in this configuration. And as you can see between the two, the actual hard disk drives where the virtual machine is running on, it's peaking out at about 2,000 IOs. The virtual machine that's running the green right now is actually still reaching about 20,000 IOs and probably climbing at this particular point. The chart on the left actually is showing us a total of 8 virtual machines, okay? The actual 4 virtual machines on the far left with the darker colors are the actual virtual machines that are running on the solid-state disk. The 4 virtual machines to the right of that are the 4 virtual machines that are running on the hard disk drives. As you can see, the more load that we put on the actual hard drives on the queue depth, as it increases 1, 2, 4, 8, 16 to 32, the actual solid-state disks continue to scale as we expected, performing well. The hard disk drives, on the other hand, continue to perform, but the performance decreases significantly. Latency on the second chart is actually correlating to this here, to the chart on the left, shows us that the virtual machines on the hard disk started having latency periods at about 8 to 10, I'd say about 8 to 10 milliseconds when you start getting to a queue depth of 1 and 2. When you start getting to a higher queue depth, as we started increasing this, the latency, the longer it took for them to do anything, started dramatically increasing. We didn't see anything in terms of latency on the solid-state disk from Samsung until we got to a queue depth of 16 and to 32. And actually, even at the queue depth of 32, we still saw latency about 8 milliseconds, which is very acceptable. The bottom line on this is that when you're running solid-state disks, your performance will scale tremendously compared to the hard disk drives.